So today we're going to go on a quick little day trip out to a place that we've been before. About a year ago, I asked Jason to take us out on a little adventure just outside of Brisbane, and he took us to this place, Northbrook Creek. I haven't been to Northbrook Creek since then, and it's one of my fondest memories. Like, it was the first time I'd kind of really been out and seen some of the native fish. And today we're going back out. There's been a lot of rain. It's a beautiful day. And the reason we're going out is I've just moved into a new home and I'm setting up a massive fish tank inside of my living room, and I want to do a Northbrook Creek fish tank. So we've got to go research it. I haven't been for a while, so I don't remember it. And I just thought today would be a great opportunity to go out, see some of the native Australian fish, check out the plants, you know, the habitat, all that. Jason's going to take us around. He knows way too much about this stuff. We've got Harlan with us. It's just going to be a really fun day. I'm just going to take you guys along, show you some of the cool crayfish.
Dude, this was not a baby.
You know, the Dubalei rainbows. And apparently Jason went there last week and he said that the purple spotters were spawning because it's breeding season. So let's go pick up Jason and head out. It'll be good. We started off our adventure today by picking up Jason and heading an hour north of Brisbane towards Mount Glorious.
Plenty of water down there now.
Jason wanted to show us a different part of the creek than we saw last time, which requires a fair walk through a bit of bush. So what do you reckon we could see today?
Could see some crimson spotted rainbows, smelt. Last time I was here, I filmed some purple spotted gudgeon spawning. So if we're lucky, we might get some footage of that.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Look how pristine it is.
Nice in here, eh?
It's so nice. It's probably my favourite creek out of all of them. This one and Ceres Creek, I reckon, are the nicest. Along the way, Jason pointed out some staghorns growing on the trees. What feeds them?
Just a leaf litter and that falling in. Composting.
They look like coral, hey.
Very nice.
So nice. But we continued our walk up the creek. We also spotted some newly born baby carpet snakes. The breeding season is in full swing.
There's fish down there.
Really?
Seen a couple little fish, yeah.
What do you see?
I don't know, they're only little. They might be baby purple spots. Like cruising around in those rocks.
Wait, what are all these little plants growing?
They're that slender knotweed.
Will they die underwater?
No, they'll live for a while. They'll actually just reach the surface and keep growing. See that rock there with all those bits of moss on it?
Oh yeah. So one of the other reasons that you come out here, besides having fun, is to get inspiration for aquascapes. Now this is a perfect example of what people are trying to achieve when they do those 3D backgrounds. Like all that slate look. So I don't know what I think of that. Like that could be a good example to go off for our tank for the living room. I think like it'd probably be a bit hard to make. And I think too, like if we're gonna have crayfish and stuff in the tank, it probably won't provide enough hiding spaces, but it's still cool to see that millions and millions of years of just slate that's built up, and like even the aquatic moss growing on it underneath. You see one? How cool is that?
Whose idea was it to snorkel in mountain streams? I know. It's like doing that bloody ice friggin' challenge.
Ice bath. How cold do you reckon it is?
He's gone. So while we've been snorkeling around, I've never seen this before, but it's obviously the purple spotted gudgeon breeding season, and there's a male down here guarding a clutch of eggs, which is like absolutely phenomenal. I've never seen this before. When they hatch out, they like turn into little wrigglers, and you can see them moving like an anemone, and it looks so cool. So I've had this happen in my fish tank before. I've bred them in a fish tank before, but I've never seen it in the wild. So I might spend a while just sitting here watching him and enjoying it, because this is just so amazing to see.
After a few hours of snorkeling and researching for the tank, we decided to pack up and make our way to the other side of the creek.
I said, see the gravel down there in the water, where you get the fine pieces building up in front of the rocks and you get the coarse pieces behind the rocks? That's how you should scape your tanks, like that. That looks natural. You get build up botanicals on the sides. It's the best way to mimic a creek.
And after a short walk through the bush, we eventually make it to the pristine Northbrook Creek. Jason put on his snorkel and hopped in straight away.
So this is another creek right nearby, and it is so different here. Instead of having that cliff face, we've got more of those tree roots kind of coming down into the water. So like, you can see Jason's over here filming a nice big gnarly tree root ball. And I think this is more like what I want to do with the scape. In here as well, there's a ton of this leaf litter, and this is where those yabbies are going to hide. And that's the main species I want to have in this tank. There's these really, really cool Charax depressus yabbies here. And they're a smaller type of Charax. Like you normally get your destructors, which we found out in the outback. And these are a smaller species, and they're not as destructive in your tanks. So like, we're going to be able to set up a really cool looking river sort of tank with all these rocks and all the driftwood coming down. And these little yabbies aren't going to pull it apart. But Jason right now is filming, looking for these yabbies and also looking for the purple spots. We're gonna go have a snorkel, have a swim, see if we can find a few and have a look at them. We're not allowed to take them from here because this is national park, but we're using this as inspiration for the tank I want to set up in the living room. As for species, we're probably gonna go with rainbow fish, the crimson spotted rainbows. Jason's seen a few spawning here. The Charax depressus, the yabbies, and maybe some purple spotted gudgeons I think will look amazing, especially if we can get them to spawn on rocks like they have been here. That's just so cool to see. And then as for plants, it's pretty scarce with plants here. We've got native riccia here, so we could probably grow some of that. We've also got some of the native Physidens moss, which we saw in the other creek. I think that the yabbies will probably eat a lot of the plants we add in. So it's all gonna be about the hardscape and the species, I think, in this tank. And having some really cool plants coming out of the top will just make it look really cool. But let's have a snorkel and see what we can find. Oh, he's going harder. Here, look. Let him off.
Little baby.
Dude, this one's not a baby. He's a big boy. Dude, get it off me. Here. Oh, no.
We snorkeled for a little while, then came up with a plan on how we would scape the tank.
We'll go downstream out of the national park. We'll see if we can't find any of these little bits of root system hanging around the creeks and that. And get some rocks and that and try and mimic your tank to look like this.
Yeah. Like, what's in your mind?
It's got to stack rocks and wedge a bit of this stuff in between it, maybe even glue it into place. Then stick a bit of leaf litter around it and stuff like that and get some different size gravels. and mix them in. Maybe Rickia, a little bit of moss, maybe a little bit of physidins and stuff like that. Not too much plant because there's not much plant in here. And they probably destroy the plants anyway by crawling around. Mainly roots and hardscape look good. And then you can put some plants above it like you do in your tanks at the shop. Just let the roots flow into it.
The good thing about setting this tank up too is that I'm not going to need a heater.
Yeah, it's really cold.
Like
so
all year, like that can just literally, all I'm going to need to do is top that tank off with
I've seen
water.
those purple spotted gudgeons. You seen them with me last time when we come up here and when it was cold. They were just sort of frozen in the water,
Yeah.
hardly moving. You could pick them up.
No, it was definitely amazing coming here and just seeing it. I think it's really helpful to do that,
Yeah.
to understand how the ecosystem works. I mean, we've seen fish breeding, we've seen, you know, yabbies cleaning up the detritus and turning this into a proper ecosystem. I think this would be a really cool looking tank. For it to be in the living room, it has to be a sentimental tank, and I think this is probably one of the most sentimental places for me when it comes to fish keeping.
Well, Southeast Queensland anyway is pretty pristine.
It's where I've lived my whole life, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's gonna be cool.